Hello, and welcome to this session on heritage and diversified tourism products. I'm Matilda Nacho. I'm an academic staff at the University of Tirana, and I'm very pleased to open this session. While nature blessed the Mediterranean with the unique wealth surrounding us, it did not forget to bless humanity with the wealth living within us, making us creator of our own microcosms and values that live and travel with us. This session brings together the pathways of a journey through which these values and the wealth that comes with them travel freely to territories ready to embrace and transform these pathways into tourism products. I have the pleasure of inviting this session's moderator, Dr. Julie Wilson, Associate Dean for Research and Associate Professor at Universitat Oberta de Barcelona, to guide the discussion on what these solutions mean for the wider community of beneficiaries across the Mediterranean and beyond. Dr. Julie, I'm honored to have you on stage. I'll leave the floor to you. Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon. I'm not sure whether it's the kind of before 12 or after 12 protocol, so I'll say both. I'm Julie Wilson. I work at the Open University of Catalonia and the tourism area. I'm co-leader of the No Tour Research Group. I'm delighted to be the moderator for this session on heritage and diversified tourism products. So I think across the whole of the Mediterranean region, we know that cultural heritage, natural landscapes, and local traditions, of course, are really a part of what is central for tourism. But they're also part of what makes such places so distinctive and attractive as places to live, to work, and to visit. But often we find that these same resources that make these places so attractive and viable as tourism destinations often expose these places to other pressures such as overcrowding, environmental degradation, housing challenges and mobility conflicts, or even the loss of local meaning and other issues like that. But other places, of course, face the opposite kind of challenges where, there's the lack of visibility of this attractiveness, rural depopulation, weak local economies, fragility in the SME ecosystem, and so on, or the disappearance of skills and traditions that have been endemic to these places that are not being transmitted to younger generations. So this is where the idea of tourism diversification has often come into play as a possible response to some of these challenges, whichever way they go. It's frequently presented as a way to address over-tourism in some contexts, under-tourism in others, seasonality, territorial spatial imbalances, or excessive dependence or path dependence on a narrow set of products and markets. But diversification can be quite hard to tie down in practice as a concept. In different places it has inherently different meanings. And the whole ethos of this panel session today is to start to understand what we mean when we talk about diversification of products and therefore the knock-on effect for places. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome our panelists for today. In first place, we have Mr. Álvaro Diaz, who is Associate Professor at the ISCTE University of Lisbon and representative of the SMI Tour project. Welcome. And then, in second place, we have Ms. Benedetta Diamanti, who is the Director of the European Route of Ceramics and the representative of the MedRoots project. Welcome, Benedetta. Thank you. And then Mr. Pablo Morales, who is the Coordinator of International Projects at the Chamber of Commerce of Seville and the representative of the Med Diet Go project. And last but by no means least, of course, we have Ms. Elena Svenkel. I hope I pronounced that right, Elena. Director of Research and Development at the BSC Kranj Regional Development Agency of Gorenjka, Slovenia, and representative of the Med Sky Tour project. Welcome, Elena. Okay, so maybe I want to sit down for this one. Okay, so delighted to have you all with us today. I'd like to start with a general question which would frame what we've just been discussing is what do we really mean by diversification of tourism products, and what does that mean in the context of heritage and natural resources. So we've said that it's often presented as a solution to different challenges, but it can mean very different things in practice. For all of you, what kind of things should and does the concept of tourism diversification really mean in practice in the context of Mediterranean heritage and nature destinations today? What are the opportunities and limitations of this idea of heritage and nature diversification? Perhaps we could start off from this side of the table. Elena, in the context of MedSky Tour, what would this mean? What do we mean by diversification?
Well, first of all, it brings an opportunity for a touristically less developed region, which on the other hand have great potentials. And I guess many of us are not so much aware of what dark sky really means. And it has, the project brings new services that are connected to development of tourism, but on the other hand, also upgrade the notion of proudness of the inhabitants and also understanding of visitors what beauty they are going to see and observe. In our project, we started last year. We are still in the progress. But what we already did, first of all, we established astrotourism place labs. We started to work on capacity building with fact sheets that were mentioned in the previous discussions. And already what we did, assessment of light pollution. A lot of work is still ahead of us, building on the knowledge, building on itineraries, preparing the guidelines and transnational, and also to work on strategy and action plan. And the vital part is also not only how to preserve our beautiful skies that you can see not in every part of our beautiful Europe, not anymore, because cities forgot about the stars. But these areas have still great notion, great understanding of the stars, of the heritage, of the customs that are connected to that, and also about the great knowledge that is all around us connected to stars. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Elena. Moving on to you, Pablo. In the context of small business ecosystems, entrepreneurial activity, how would you understand diversification as a process in tourism?
Well, in the first place, we shouldn't consider diversification just moving visitors from one place to another. And of course, in all these changes, SMEs are absolutely essential because the majority of the companies who participate in this process are micro SMEs. But first of all, diversification shouldn't be shouldn't be moving tourists from or visitors from one place to another, but distributing benefits of tourism. Many of our destinations are already receiving many tourists, good tourist flows. That, of course, diversification is a way of of making more sustainable, especially those places which are already very crowded at this moment. But shouldn't be that just moving, but distributing the benefit of tourism. Also, diversification shouldn't be creating essentially new products, because many of our territories already have good assets that can be exploited and promoted. And coming back also to what Elena mentioned about heritage, heritage is not only monuments as well, and it is, that is why when we consider heritage in intangible heritage like culture, gastronomy, way of life, the way how communities live in those territories, where our project, Meta Go, is addressing, where we can exploit different concepts that we already have in our territory, in our Mediterranean, like the Mediterranean diet culture, as a cultural asset that we can exploit. And of course, SMEs, Julie, coming back to your question, SMEs are fundamental. We consider, and in our strategy developed by our project, that we have to work with the local communities, with the stakeholders, with public sector, and of course with the private companies. And we shouldn't just consult them and act. We should co-work with the companies to develop these new mechanisms, these new approaches to contribute to that diversification, in which the products are usually already there in the majority of our Mediterranean territories. But we have to look for strategies in which altogether may contribute to that diversification. That is very positive in terms that we we make more balanced distribution of those good incomes that tourism represent, by diversifying not only the tourists, but also the richness that tourism may bring to our territories, because we may contribute to small SMEs in, let's say, rural areas or less exploited territories to overcome with the many challenges that we are facing in these new ages. So, as opportunities, we have already, in many of our territories, especially those in which we are working with Mediterranean diet, we have already the tourists, the visitors, we have them. We just have to make strategies to contribute to that distribution of the benefits of the tourism. And as challenges, of course, we have many challenges. We have the challenges because the companies need to be trained, need to be informed. They, of course, need security, but I could continue talking about that.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Benedetta, sometimes, we're not just talking about the effects on one particular place, but a multi-local approach, and such is the case with tourist routes, which necessarily take in an itinerary, which means, a certain degree of consideration of more than one place. What about this general question in the context of your project? I think there might be a slide or so that Benedetta has requested to be projected. Go ahead if you want to answer.
I think that our project, MedRoots project, is really a tangible example of tourism diversification. In fact, as was said this morning at the beginning, it doesn't exist only one tourism, but many kinds of this. And our project was born in the framework of the cultural roots of the Council of Europe. Cultural roots of the Council of Europe are roots, but more than roots, are connection with different places, different people all around Europe that share same roots, same values, same identity on a specific theme. And as we are working under the program, under the flag of the Council of Europe, we are promoters of the value of the Council of Europe, human rights, multicultural diversity, mutual understanding, exchanges across boundaries, and of course also for tourism. But a cultural route of the Council of Europe means a long journey. Thousands and thousands of kilometers of journey. Perhaps you know St. James Way, Santiago di Compostela, many Caminos, Via Francigena, Transromanica, but many others, as the European route of ceramics, Charles V route, Napoleon routes, Phoenicians route. We have a lot of spots all around Europe, and this kind of way is not so easy, so sustainable. So the idea of this project was why to not try to create a different kind of offer at the crossroad of some cultural roots of the Council of Europe. Many of us, many of our roots have a lot of spots in the Mediterranean area. you can understand ceramics, Phoenicians, archaeological, olive tree culture, wine culture. We are present in the same place. So with the Medroots, the Medroot project, we realized that those small itineraries asking people in rural areas, a place not so crowded for over-tourism and like this, to give value to spots of different routes in the same place. And the power of this project was that those micro-itineraries we realized were, and here we have the slides, perhaps it can help to make a more easy presentation, explication. We asked all the communities there to stay with us for the realization of this itinerary. So every spot, not only cultural, historic, artistic, museum, monument like this are part of the itinerary, but everything. So accommodation, hotels, food, tourism, transport, mobilities, but to be part of the itinerary, we people, actors must improve sustainable practices or circular economy practices. We realized the methodology. We have 44 criteria of this kind of best practices. We asked the actors, communities to come and say, would you like to be part in this itinerary? Tell us which of these best practices, what are you doing on the sustainability field? And in this way, we realized the itinerary, we realized a different kind of destination that attract tourists in places very rich in culture and artistic heritage and like this, and places where touristic are not so used to go, but they can find here a very full experience, discover more different kind of point of interest, and also feel good within themselves, because we know that sustainable tourism is the future. Tourists are more happy when they come back home if they know that they had the opportunity to move in a sustainable way, to stay in an hotel improving good practices of sustainability. So, in fact, we saw that people is coming. People is interested in having this opportunity for having a journey in a place that's not so well known, but when they can discover cultural heritage very deep in the European identity, things that they do not expect, mixed proposals, because they had proposal aspects from ceramic heritage, but also from gastronomy, olive trees, wine, and all of this. And they can feel good because they really bring back home the idea to having had a different kind of journey, of touristic experience.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to you, Alvaro. Of course, there's a role for digital technologies in how we might understand diversification of a product and its impacts on a place. How would you understand this first question?
Okay, so short answer will be diversification equals to rethinking. And this comes to the origin of our project. We start thinking about it after the pandemic, where some of the destinations were thinking about, okay, let's reboot and start as it was. And I think the pandemic gave us an opportunity to rethink tourism. So our project is specifically about industrial tourism sites and with the intersection of technologies. So, and this leads to several ways of seeing diversification. First, of course, and most important, is the geographic diversification, especially the dispersion of tourists. So when we talk about industrial tourism, we can talk about existing heritage like shipyards or mining, or also existing firms that want to show their processes So, but typically, if we think about an industrial site, we think in peripheral areas or distant areas, so they are not close to the main attractions, typically. There are exceptions, of course. So, if we promote those locations, then we can disperse tourists or eventually to attract new tourists to a new area. So we are here we are talking about diversification. But also, as a result of our project, we also thought about the overall experience of the tourists. Because usually those places, I will put in commas, are very passive places. So we want to see this shipyard or this company. And technology can be a booster of the experience that we are offering to the visitors or tourists to that place. But more important than that is to put in those places the industrial sites working with other local stakeholders to promote a better experience. And what we saw is, I think one of the most important outcomes of this project is that we can distribute better the money across regions and across several intervenants in the process. And I think this is all about diversification. But we can also see diversification from another perspective, which is the financial one, because typically these sites are not profitable. They attract very few people, visitors there. There are exceptions, of course, but most of them are very few numbers. So they are not sustainable from the business point of view. But if we work together with local stakeholders to provide a better experience, then we can ask for more money for the experiences. And this helps to diversify the sources of income in these places. And I think this is also about diversification. And just to finish, another perspective is about sustainability, from all the perspectives of sustainability. But I would like to highlight the social one, because these places usually don't depend on tourism, they depend on other sources. Eventually they are at risk because eventually industry is as we know in Europe. So and tourism in those places can be an interesting approach to local development. And at the same time embrace sustainable development. Not only, again, from the social perspective, because we can create non-mass tourism destinations, let's say premium destinations, and at the same time to provide a better environmental protection using technologies for that. And from this, I would like just to highlight that in this case, the technological diversification is not about the tools that we think about, AR, VR, Internet of Things, but also related to data and data analysis, which is very important for all the decision making in the process.
Thank you very much. I mean, the idea of data-driven analysis, bringing in financial questions, I think you raised some very important points in terms of industrial heritage diversification. So thank you very much. I'd like to continue the panel with some individual questions for you all. Perhaps we could go the other way down the line this time. Go back to you already, Álvaro. I'd like to ask you to kind of tease out a little bit your earlier response and ask you, how can innovation or innovative practices in digital transformation and smart tourism approaches support heritage management without turning the destination into a kind of purely technological project?
Yep.
Or how can we go beyond the application of technology as technological solutionism and start to really add value to heritage diversification with technological applications?
Mm-hmm. We provided, as a result of our project, a roadmap for these destinations to embrace not only the technology, but the overall perspective, the big picture of the project. So in this point of view, we consider that the involvement of stakeholders could be important, and the technology can be an enabler, but it doesn't substitute the real assets, because that's what we are talking about. So we talk about the implementation of technology, but with a purpose, to provide a better experience and to complement the existing experience there. From this perspective, it's a complement or a booster or an enhancer, but it doesn't replace the initial experience that those places were offering. In the second hand, and related to this, we consider very important to maintain the authenticity, not only from the social dimension that I was talking about, so those places as their own identity that it's important to preserve and also to enhance in order to attract those stakeholders around the project. Because remember, these usually are small places, distant places from the main touristical areas. So all people know each other, so it's very important to bring them on board in this type of projects. So that's why authenticity is very important in the project. And then, of course, technology, like I said in the beginning, is very important to involve stakeholders because they can have a role in this project. Let me give you an example to highlight what I'm talking about. In Slovenia, we saw a very interesting project because they had and I think it's still working, a coal mine that is being there for more than 100 years, and they excavated so much that the ground collapsed. So, and it formed a lake, a beautiful lake, and one of the villages became submerged. So, I can go there and visit the mining part, so let's say the old heritage, but with that they attracted a lot of things. Now they have accommodation, now they have bars, now they have restaurants, and with technology they've done very interesting things. For example, we can have a trip by boat, and they put some VR glasses, and we can dive and see the ruins of that old village that becomes submerged. So, and there's a storytelling touching all of this, a very interesting storytelling. And so the initial idea is there, we still visit the mines, but we have now a much bigger experience. So instead of visiting a mine for 2 hours, typical visit, now we can stay for 2 days or 3 days. So, and that makes the whole difference for businesses that want to thrive there, for locals that needs employment, so for replacing their coal mining jobs to other type of jobs. So that's how we see the technology and innovation here, so as a booster of the overall experience.
Thank you. It's a very nice example, really, of how augmented reality can enhance the product by increasing the engagement and adding value in that way. Thank you. Benedetta, so cultural routes often connect multiple places, obviously, but they also connect multiple actors, multiple heritage forms. What would you say it is that makes a route more than a marketing label? What is it that gives it that special identity as a collection, as a coherent collection of places in an itinerary?
Speaking about cultural roots of the Council of Europe, we have to say that the label is really the last thing, because those are network connecting people that in different places of Europe really share something similar. Because, for instance, speaking about the ceramic route, in our route we have members very different parts of Europe, south, north, east, west, but when they are together, they speak the same languages because their community are based on the same roots. They know how important was ceramic in the evolution of their communities and how important ceramic could still be for their artistic point of view, or for industries, or for small medium enterprises in the place, in the town. So really the connection is something true. Because the cultural roots, in fact, give value to the material and immaterial European cultural heritage that different places in Europe really share. And one of the main point, very good point of our project was the fact that working with communities already involved in a cultural root experience, it's very easy to have all the community when working with you. We had all the communities working with our MedRoots micro-itineraries projects. And this is a very good because, in fact, when you are thinking about big places with a lot of tourism attraction, sometimes it's very difficult. Also, as municipalities, I'm working when you ask enterprises, actors to come and share together a project. They come, they do not come. In this case, it's immediate because we are talking about places that would like to have more tourism, a high quality of tourism, people who's really trying to discover history, to discover places, to discover landscapes, to discover experiences. And so local communities worked with us very well, and they immediately know what we were working on, the theme, because we say, okay, here we have experience from ceramic, we have experience from Phoenician Archaeological Museum, and like this, we have experience from olive trees, so producer of oil, but also ancient olive trees that are really a touristic attraction of those places. And so it was a very good result. And the nice thing is also that thanks to this project, we realized that a methodology was very easy now to disseminate and to replicate in many other places. Different is if we talk about the label of the project. The label of the project is very important. We realized a green label of the MedRoots, and this is very important because each actor, each small enterprise, restaurant, hotel, museum, they have their logo. This is a spot of MedRoot micro sustainable eco-itineraries. We are increasing this kind of sustainable best practices, and in this case, label is something that add attraction, add value to the spot. But in fact, cultural roots are really more than a label, are really a true experience of people living there.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nice to think that there's an identity-based connection between points in the route. It's more than a series of places, but there is actually some common identity.
Yes, and it's very nice the fact that when tourists arrive, all people they can meet in the place are ambassadors of the place.
Of course.
And this is that's make the experience that the tourists have more rich and important.
Okay, thank you very much, Benedetta. So Pablo, in the case of enterprise, business-based actors, obviously they're key parts of these kind of diversified processes of tourism. And so what kind of support do small businesses, small enterprises need to flourish in this context in order that the heritage tourism that's being developed there can be, sustainably based, financially viable, economically stable as a part of the ecosystem of heritage diversification?
Thank you, Julie. As I anticipated before, SMEs are essential in this process of promoting heritage and working for a sustainable tourism in our territories. But for promoting properly our heritage, to contribute to diversification, we need strong companies, strong SMEs working on it. But to have strong companies, we need also a strong governance in our territories. And for that, all what we are mentioning and what is one of the aims of this panel, that co-creation, that working with the local communities, with the stakeholders, all together, the public and private sector are absolutely essential. Before going exactly to the needs of the companies, particularly for this, in our project in which we promote Mediterranean diet as a driver for sustainable tourism, we work with living labs and one-stop shops in those living labs we work with the local communities and also with the different stakeholders, public and private. So this way we can identify those needs, not only of the SMEs and the private sector, but for the total approach and total environment in order to contribute to what we want to achieve, that benefits of tourism are more balanced and more distributed in all our territories. And so that is very connected with the real needs of the SMEs. I also mentioned that our companies need continuous training because the market is evolving very quickly. It is not an evolution, it's a revolution, continuous revolution. Still digitalisation is needed. Companies have advanced much on digitalisation, but still there are new applications, new innovation in which the companies may be reconverted. Sustainability. If we want a more sustainable tourism in all terms, we have to support companies to build new capacities on sustainability, and of course on different terms of quality for tourism. Because if we are looking for added value tourism, we have to offer the best quality. Also, very relevant is the security. Companies need long-term policies for them. They cannot live in an environment in which policies are changing every year. So it is very important that long-term security. To participate in that co-decision or co-management of tourism flows, it is essential not only to consult them, but to participate. That is very common in our project that we are working with them. It is also very important when we plan and we look for common approaches to analyze the total local value chain. Because if we lack only of one part of the chain, the products, the different routes cannot work. We may have the best heritage site, but if we don't have any other tourism facilities that may support the visitors in that experience, it cannot work to take it into the ground. Of course, the governance support. The governance support mainly in that stability at long term with the policies, and in general that ecosystem, that environment that may support the companies is absolutely essential, and it is something which we should maintain working in order to contribute to that support, but with the companies in that co-decision management.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Moving on to you, Elena, as a representative of MedSky Tour, which is a very nice project based on dark skies tourism as a product. Really interesting stuff. So for you, I mean, your project generally focuses on places that tend to be inland, less visited perhaps. So what kind of role can these less visited or inland regions play in rethinking diversification in heritage tourism in the Mediterranean? Because we think of Mediterranean, we think of coast, and also, you know, maybe not so much attention is paid to the inland regions around the Mediterranean area. What can you say about that?
For sure, sustainability is part of identity of such areas. There is strong notion of community. Therefore, also in our labs where we work together, all sectors work together. And also they exchange ideas and they strive for quality. Additionally, what was also mentioned by Pablo before, of course, all players need to share the joint vision, and that also support not only SMEs, but also other stakeholders that can contribute to the quality products. It could be NGO, it could be a farm. All of them are part of a quality product. But when we think also from the point of very strong tourism destinations on the coast, areas, issue that we are struggling is over visiting. Perhaps sometimes also tourists say that crowds are somehow not the best what they would like to experience. Also, this is invitation also that the regions cooperate among each other. And with that, also the rural areas can benefit and also can be prosperous in a long term. And perhaps also for the end, that the message would be that also these rural areas, they have strong potentials. They have a great opportunities, and they can put together innovative niche tourism products. And also what was said before from Pablo and also other speakers, there is an ongoing need for additional knowledge that we all know, because we all need, because the how to say, the desires of visitors are changing rapidly. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for your response. I think I would like to ask you if you have any final comments, but in the interest of opening up the debate to the floor, and we only have a few minutes left, perhaps we could move to take a couple of questions before we close, if that's okay with you all. Are there any questions for the panelists from the audience on any aspect of... Not at the moment. Or perhaps I could then ask you if you have any brief closing comments before we round up the panel. Is there anything else you'd like to add on what any of your other panelists have said? Or
well, if I may, an important message that we would like to transmit from the project I represent, from Meta Go, is that diversification is not just moving tourists from one place to another, but to share and to make a better balance of the benefits of tourism. That is an important message that we would like to transmit from the project that in which we are working and that we are promoting.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to add anything? Well, I mean, from my part, I think it's been really nice to hear from 4 Euromed projects with, related but not necessarily that close conceptually projects. I think the important challenge for all of your projects would be how to maintain the impact of all of these initiatives beyond the life of the project. That's something else we could have commented on, and something that I wish for all of these projects, that there is a lasting effect in terms of how diversification is brought in as a tool, as a process, as a way of uniting stakeholders, as a way of building common identities and common concerns. And I think that would be the wish for all of these 4 projects. It's been very nice to hear about them. Thank you so much to you all. Álvaro Díaz, Benedetta Diamante, Pablo Morales, and Elena, I can't pronounce your surname, Senkel? Yes. Thank you very much to you all. Thank you to the audience as well. And yeah, see you in the next session.
Thank you.